This short clip looks at the different types of books which may be used to teach children to read. Generally, these fall into three categories: decodable books, levelled or sometimes known as guided readers, and real books. I'm going to start by saying a few words about real books. The term real books is used to describe the books which line library and bookshop shelves, standalone books by individual authors. I say standalone, but of course there may be series of real books. Way back last century, there was a fashion for teaching reading through real books. In fact, there are still plenty advocates of teaching reading using real books. The argument is that they're more interesting, stimulating and engaging than reading scheme books, and that they are more likely to create independent readers. The first claim, of course, is true. They are more engaging than reading scheme books. However, the second claim, that they create independent readers, is probably only true for those children who have very good visual memory and who are eventually able to work out the phonic code for themselves. These days, real books tend not to be used for reading instruction in schools, but for entertainment and fun, and to help create the motivation to learn to read. Levelled or guided readers come as reading schemes or programmes, many books across many levels, both fiction and non-fiction. Examples include Oxford Reading Tree, Literacy World, PM Readers, and many more. There's a progression of word difficulty through the levels. Sight words are taught throughout, and learners are taught various reading strategies. Decodable books support the teaching of synthetic phonics. They tend to be very carefully graded, and the use of sight words is limited. Examples include Moondogs, Floppy's Phonics, Dandelion Readers. In this slide, I'll compare the word attack strategies which are used in decodable books with those which are used in levelled or guided readers. Decodable books are designed to be used to support the teaching of synthetic phonics. So when new phonic learning takes place, it can be practiced using these books. There's only one word attack strategy. It is sound out all the way through the word and blend the sounds together. Use of sight words is very limited. There's a strict adherence to the progression of the teaching of the phonic code so that all words are decodable for the learner, except for those very few sight words. So there's one strategy for unknown words. With levelled or guided readers, there's progression through phonics, but many sight words are used and many strategies are taught. These include using phonic cues, using visual cues, using contextual cues, and using grammatical cues. So many strategies for unknown words are taught. Guided readers are richer in terms of vocabulary and syntax than decodable books, and many children experience few difficulties with them. However, if you have a learner or a group of learners who aren't coping with guided readers, it might be a good idea to take them off these readers for a while and use decodable books as an intervention strategy. You should consider the following questions. If they're reading the book at less than 90% accuracy, it's too difficult for them. There's another clip here that explains how to make that assessment if you're unsure. It may be that they'll cope with guided readers at a lower level, but there are another two signs to look out for and to think about. The first of these is to do with strategies. They may be having difficulty remembering the reading strategies that you've taught. They may not understand these strategies or have difficulty deciding which to try. The second sign relates to phonics. They don't have reliable knowledge of the phonic code and so can't sound out regular words. So for these learners, tackling unknown words has become a bit of a guessing game. So when we're considering decodable books as an intervention strategy, we're talking about learners who are experiencing reading difficulties. They may be confused about strategies, they don't reliably know the phonic code, and unfortunately, they are experiencing failure as a reader. I'd just like to say a word about knowledge of phonics. The aim of decodable books is to embed phonic decoding as the default reading strategy, one strategy for unknown words. Once this is explained to learners, it really takes the pressure off and empowers them. Most of these learners won't have great difficulty learning the phonic code. It's just that they've been relying on sight memory or been confused about strategies, or perhaps phonics hasn't been explicitly taught in a way that was meaningful for them. However, if your learner doesn't do well in decodable books, they may have problems with phonological awareness. They may need a more structured intervention, such as our Getting Started programme. So do get in touch with us if you need support making these kind of decisions or would like some training. So a limited period of time using decodable books can address all of those three issues above. And a key skill for a class teacher is knowing not just when to use decodable books, but when to stop using them. I've heard the analogy of stabilisers for cycling. They're useful for a time, but become a hindrance if used beyond that point. As I've said, because they adhere to a strict phonic code, these books are necessarily limited in vocabulary, syntax and scope. They are most definitely not literature. Neither are guided readers, of course, but they are a bit richer. Children using both types of readers still need access to good quality real books, of course, which are read aloud and shared in class every day. There are some compelling arguments for the use of decodable books with all beginner readers. I've provided a link here to an interesting website. Most Glasgow schools don't have enough decodable books to do this, or the funds to change that situation, but I do encourage you to read that list and give it some thought. Our recommendation would be that all schools have a selection of decodable books held together in a resource room where all teachers can access them. What we notice is that a lot of schools have a smattering of these books that they may have purchased a few years ago, but that some copies have gone missing, as tends to happen over the years. So it might be worthwhile doing an audit just to find out how well resourced you are with decodable books. And of course, it's important that all teachers are aware of their existence and know where to find them. If you don't have any, or if you're considering different packs of books or different genre perhaps, we can provide inspection packs for you to have a look at to try out with learners before making that financial commitment. And we can also make suggestions as to how many sets to buy to suit your particular school and your needs. So please don't hesitate to get in touch with us if you are looking for any advice about decodable books.